What if? What if being unapologetically me is exactly what sets someone else free? I'm your host of Unapologetically Yours, Melinda Dawn. And as you can tell, if you're watching this on Spotify or YouTube, I am at the airport. ATL to be exact. And I'm thinking about friendships. I just did friendships come and go, and now I'm thinking about true friends. What do true friends do for you? I believe they tell you the truth, and I believe that they do so in love. And I believe when they do it in love, it is it's easier to receive. There are people who tell you things, and maybe they call themselves your friend, but they don't do it in love. They do it, I don't know, projecting their own fears, or they do it because they hate you, or they do it because they're jealous, or they tell you things out of judgment. Those are not the ones that you want to keep around. Those are the ones that aren't for you. But I have a lot of friends who tell me things in love. And I can count on them, right? And I've definitely been that friend. I have been the friend to tell someone something hard, something challenging, something difficult, and also it's just something easy, like, I love you. Sometimes that's the hardest thing to say. I love you and you're worthy of love. Not that it's hard to say that you love them, but it's hard to tell them something that they may not receive because for whatever reason they don't and can't love themselves. How does that show up? Sometimes it shows up in relationships, the relationships that they have, especially I'm going to say romantic relationships. I have a friend who has a friend, and that friend, so two friends removed, sometimes only gets things if it's being shouted, right? And what was shouted to her in love were the literal words, I love you, but they were being screamed at her so that she could get it, right? And really the message is, you are worthy of love. How does this relate to me? One of the hard things that I've done, and I feel like I've done it more than once, is I told a friend she did not have to marry the person she was betrothed to just because the invitations went out, right? Because people had purchased their plane tickets. You do not have to marry that man because of the multiple red flags that were present. And what I did not want to do is go to her wedding, be there in support without sharing what I saw and what was concerning. I didn't want to tell her after the fact, right? Like after she pledged her life to this man. I didn't want, for the stories that would inevitably come, for me to say, oh, well, I knew he was the wrong one, or I knew you shouldn't have married him. What kind of friend would I have been? Not one. Now, did they, because this happened with multiple people, marry the man? I know this one did. I can't even think of who the other person was. She did. And did she have struggles? She did. But it was her choice. And we're still friends. I mean, we're not super close, but I believe that she knows that she can count on me. And I know that I can count on her. So, how else does this relate to me? Someone shared some things with me in love, and in actuality, they didn't even get to say probably the thing that they wanted to say. So, my friend asked me, "Can I tell you something in love?" Now, what I want you to know is that I had a bag of chips in my hand, but not just any kind of, not like a personal snack bag. It was a large bag. I'm trying to think. Yeah, like a big bag of chips, which I had been sharing with other people. So there was only just it wasn't remnants. There was a lot. There was enough. There's probably like 2 personal snack bags full of chips in this big bag, right? So I'm just eating it, and I'm just ravenous. So she says, can I share something with you in love? So she was seeking my permission. That's the first part you need to know. And then I wanted to know what it was about. So I said, I asked, well, can I know what the topic is? Are you going to talk to me about my weight and how I'm eating? So she's like, well, why do you think I would talk about that? Why did I jump there? That's an email. VIP email, probably from Coach Elisa, because I'm getting onboarded with Share Your Love Diva. It's very exciting. So she did want to talk to me about my health. my health, which includes my weight. And, this conversation led to tears. My tears. And this conversation, what else? It was good. It was really good. And I needed it, and my family needed it. It was for me and my family's, for my future, for my family's future, literally. So, my friend had a conversation with my mom. Yes, my deceased mom. Sometimes talks to her and asks her to look out for me. And some things were, uncovered in this conversation. There was definitely some hesitation. There was definitely some, I don't know if the word is deflection. There was also some reflection. There was some defense mechanism, laughter. There was some jumping to extreme conclusions I don't want to be a gym rat. Now, she is very much in the gym, at least 3 times a week. Serious, hardcore, got a trainer. She might have felt some kind of way about me saying that, was I talking about her? But what she really noticed was it was an extreme. First of all, she didn't even tell me to go to the gym 24/7, 7 days a week, right? She didn't even mention a gym, but I mentioned a gym, and there was definitely some sort of pain point or some kind of something there. Again, the jump straight to the extreme of gym rat, and so she asked me some more questions. She's very curious. And what was the word? I said I didn't want to be obsessed with it, right? Because I felt like then I would just be obsessed, and that would be the only thing I did, or the only thing I thought about, which wouldn't be good. So she was like, is there a way for us to come back to not such a big extreme? What are you willing to do? Are you happy in your current state? And so I can tell you some things. I'm going to tell you some things. So I have been on this love myself journey, and I love all my parts, right? Including the parts that, there could be less of the parts, and that would be okay. I have done I release you, I release the extra weight. And I have lost some weight, some emotional weight, and I probably am still carrying some emotional weight. And I'm carrying some other, some earned weight, some potato chips weight. In my last episode, I talked about how I felt like I found this hack, right, with the wine testing, because I hadn't eaten much food and I didn't get any kind of tipsy or anything. My neck got warm, that was it. But because I had 6 chocolate bonbons, and I felt like maybe that somehow, whatever, helped me drink 5 half glasses of wine, with little effect. So, I have done various things in the past for weight loss. Intermittent fasting. I have done carnivore only. I have done, I probably dabbled in Atkins and some other things. One of the things, it wasn't quite Atkins. I feel like it was more extreme, because you can't even have vegetables, but it wasn't carnivore. I don't know what it was. High fat is high fat, mid protein, low carbohydrate, whatever that is. And it was very effective. But then the holidays came along, and I didn't have the self-control to maintain that whilst watching my husband just eat whatever he wanted to eat. Not considering that men typically, they can cheat all day long. As soon as they make a decision to, lose weight, it just drops. So at that point, I decided I would not ever do that, the no sugar thing. And at some point, I found intermittent fasting, which also was successful, but I couldn't do it while I was nursing. I couldn't do it while I was trying to get pregnant. And then at some point, I started doing it after I stopped nursing Michaela Sue this year, and it was not effective. I'm sure it was user error. I've been very proud of myself for different types of activity and gains that I'm doing. And for instance, I think it was a couple weeks doing a podcast every single day. That was exciting, and it's possible that I might get back to that. It was definitely very intentional. And I realized it's possible. And what I wanted to do was add other things to that, right? What else can I do? What else can I do on purpose, with a purpose? Some other activity that would be in my best interest. Could be exercise, walking. I've talked about walking. Hardly done it. I did it in this airport, and I used to say, "Oh, I got my exercise for the month." That's how averse I have been to it. For me, I think part of it is about failing, about not wanting to fail, which is not the same as doing it perfectly. I feel like I have failed. I know that I have failed in certain efforts, and so let me just avoid the failure. Let me just not try, because if I don't try, and then I just accept myself, and if I just love myself, and if I just love all my parts, right, all my excess parts, then I'll be happy, right? Even though when I look in the mirror, I'm not satisfied with what I see. And even though my husband loves my parts, right? So, a challenging conversation, a very meaningful one, an important one, and I have committed to making changes. And I think the biggest change is really just the intentionality behind it. It's not going to the extreme of fasting, although I have wanted to do another 3 to 5 day fast, like liquid only. I have decided to be purposeful. So anyway, when she was asking me, well, what are you going to do? I was like, I'm going to think about the things to do. That was not cutting it for her because it wasn't specific. She asked me about goals, like, where do you want to see yourself financially, in 3 to 5 years? And so I said something, and, it was more big picture, but it's not a goal that's attainable because there is no goal. And then she said, what if attached to the goal there was like a monumental prize at the end of it, right? If that were the case, how serious would you be about it? How intentional would you be about it? How make it happen would you be about it? If the lives of your children were on the line, how purposeful would you be about it? So there's all these people that say, I would die for my kid, but will you live for your kid, right? I don't really dabble in shame, so I don't believe that was part of the emotions that I was feeling, but certainly dissatisfaction, trying to think of the other things. But part of where I was, I believe, is I was like there's another voice. There's another voice, and it's when she asked me about it, I came up with, in my mind, the visual of Kermit the Frog, where Kermit the Frog is talking to his other self, right? And it's the other Kermit the Frog has a cloak, right? It's in a black cloak with a hoodie over it. And, so she asked, well, what does that voice say? And I was like, go ahead and eat that cake. Go ahead and eat them bonbons. It's not going to work anyway, so just enjoy life. Love yourself. Treat yourself. So we decided to call that voice Leslie, no offense. And it's because of a mutual acquaintance growing up, a childhood bully. We'll call it that. So that's the bully inside my head. So what are you going to say to that bully? Well, I'm not going to repeat that on this episode. But basically, shut up, Leslie. And so I'm sharing this on the worldwide podcast web because maybe somebody out there has an issue that they're dealing with, working with, or that they are closeting, that they are avoiding, that they are lying to themselves about how much it really impacts them. And I want you, to see me being vulnerable. I want you to know that you are capable of anything that you put your mind to. I want you to know that you are worthy of self-love, and that self-love doesn't come in the form of self-deceit. What are you willing to invest in yourself to have the life or lifestyle that you want? What are you What time are you willing to invest in yourself to have the health that you want, the intelligence that you want? Maybe you might want to be less flighty. Maybe you want to be more serious. Maybe you want to be more intellectual. So what time are you willing to invest to pick up those books, physically or audible? What are you willing to give up, or what are you willing to add to your plate in order to be present in your children's lives as a healthy version of you? And I don't even mean weight necessarily there. What about mental clarity? What about confidence? What about modeling for your children what self-care looks like and what self-love looks like, so that they can love themselves, so they can attract partners who will know how to love them, who will love them? What are you willing to do for that? So, exercise is one of the things for me, which will be in the form of walking, which will be in the form of pickleball, which will be in the form of, what else could I do? I mean, I'd really love to do tennis. I love tennis. I had like the best time, but I don't know who I could meet up. I know one person that I could potentially figure out how, maybe might be able to do that once a week. Actually, now I have 2 names of people. Another thing is my intake, right? What I put inside my body on purpose, with purpose, like every time I eat, for there to be a love, not just loving what I eat, because that's important too. I'm a foodie. I don't want to let that go. Like, I have an exquisite palate, and I'm not going to eat styrofoam, right? But eating when I'm hungry versus eating when I'm bored, right? And then what type of food? Is it something that is going to benefit the health of my body, for the regeneration of my cells? So that's that. So friends, true friends, tell you the truth. What other truths? Oh yes, how about this one? How about, I would not recommend you wearing that to your job interview, or to the party, or to this event. How do I look? The truth, spoken in love. Spoken in love. What other things do friends tell each other in love? You hurt my feelings. When you do XYZ, I feel XYZ. I would prefer that you didn't offer me unsolicited advice about ABC. I would prefer that you are in listening mode right now. I would prefer that you, whatever it is, asking for what it is that you want, instead of holding on to resentments of maybe how a friend is treating you. That would be love to share, right? Don't they deserve the right to know that what they're doing is causing harm, so they can make a decision to not do that? there's so many of us who make assumptions on, oh, well, they should know, or that should be automatic, or it's common sense. There's a whole bunch of people who do not have common sense. There's a whole bunch of people who are not you. And so too often we, let's say, do all of the things for other people. And we think, well, then if I'm in this situation, they'll do for us or me, right? They'll do for you what you have done. But that's not true because they're not you. So I think one of the biggest things about that piece is when we look at someone as having potential, please do not invest in their potential. Please do not invest in a character trait that they have the ability to possess, but are not in possession of that characteristic, right? And the potential that you see in somebody else is often what you would do in that scenario, especially when it comes to relationships. Now, does, that teenager have the potential to get a good grade in school? Yes. That's different. I'm not talking about that type of potential. So, true friends speak the truth in love. Another thing that could be spoken in love is apology. And different people receive apologies differently. There's a whole book, The 7 Apology Love Languages, and it's like a team. It's 2 people writing the book. It's the same author. One of the authors is from the 5 love languages, and so I don't know all of the. You know what? Let me see if I can look this up. I'm going to turn the internet on. So I was going to rattle it off in my mind what I remembered, but it will be better if I just shoot straight. So 7 apology languages. I think that's what it is. Saying no internet, but there it is. Okay, here we go. 5 core apology languages, not 7. Developed by Gary Chapman and Jennifer Thomas, which mirrors the love languages. And it defines how people best give and receive apologies. So expressing regret. Saying, I'm sorry that happened or I did that. Accepting responsibility is another one. I did do that. That was me. Instead of the opposite, which is gaslighting. That wasn't me. I didn't do it. It's your fault. You're to blame. That's not taking responsibility. Making restitution. How can I make it better? So I broke a vase, right? And so I'm going to replace it or give you something of, similar value. Genuine repentance is another one. And that's a 180-degree turn or change. So you're doing bad stuff. The repentance is now you do good stuff. Or, you've been inconsistent. So now you become consistent. You've been selfish. So now you consider others. And then requesting forgiveness is the last one. And that's asking specifically, will you forgive me? Will you accept my apology? So different people have different things. And so sometimes you might say sorry, but they need action. And so you saying sorry, it doesn't work. It doesn't fix or repair the relationship. So that person needs an action. So that is what true friends do, is apologize when there has been something wrong that has occurred that requires apology. What else do true friends do? I think they support one another in the other person's dreams. They cheer them on. They acknowledge and recognize what has already been accomplished, whether it's someone's going to school for their master's or doctorate or bachelor's, whatever. Like, and I see you giving them flowers while they're here. What's another one? Wow. And it could be, wow, I know you started this weight loss journey. You're looking amazing. I see the results. That's a way. Or, wow, you're really doing that podcast thing. You already have 50 episodes. I'm so proud of you. Whatever it is. So true friends encourage each other. True friends set themselves aside for a moment to pour into the other person, or to support the other person, let's say in the case of grief, of loss, a death. True friends, depending on how, deep that friendship is, offer to bring the shovel when you need to bury the bulb of the plant, right? You're gardening, So that's what the shovels are for. True friends, when they have the means, will send an airplane ticket for you to come visit them so that you can regroup and refresh and true friends, when you have the means, will purchase or make a gift or write a card or choose a particular type of card or paper stock or whatever. It's a thoughtful gift that that they would like, that they're into a specific thing versus some, generic thing that's not them, True friends know what the other person's interests are. True friends will hold your hair back while you throw up into the toilet. And not just because you might have had a little too much to drink, but maybe because you're going through chemotherapy. True friends speak the truth in love. True friends show up in love. They help you pack when you're leaving your abuser. True friends send reminders about how special you are when you're going through a devastating divorce. True friends will replace your refrigerator when it goes out and you don't have the ability to replace it yourself. True friends will ship you an air conditioning unit for the hottest room in the house because you can't fix your air conditioning yet. True friends will pick up your kids from school when you go out of town. True friends will tell your husband the truth in love so that you can stay married and have a beautiful life together. What do the true friends do for you that are in your life? What true friend thing do you do or say to your friends so that they know that they can count on you? Count your blessings. Be a blessing. Thank the people who love you enough to say the hard things. Thank the people who do a group intervention, depending, unless it's a cult. Then don't appreciate that crap. Get out. It's probably still done in love. I had a friend call me, and I don't know if I talked about this, but I shared with, it was really kind of like a long lost friend that I was able to get in touch with. I told him about a retreat I was going on, and he was very concerned. And he, as a loving friend, shared his reservations for me because he didn't want to tell me after the fact, or he didn't want to hear that there was an adverse experience that he hadn't pre-warned me about. That is what a true friend does. A true friend also comes with at least little or no judgment, you know? They accept the decision you make, even when it's not following their advice, you know? And they're there with you for you, if they can be. True friends also might say, I need this thing to change for us to spend as much time, you know, as we would like to do. A true friend, a true friend it might feel like abandonment, it might feel like rejection, but I think a true friend allows room. How about this? We'll do it the opposite way. A true friend lets somebody else part ways for their mental health, their mental clarity, their whatever it is that they need to pursue that a relationship would become a hindrance to, you know? A true friend would let them go and love them from a distance and wish them the best from a distance. That might sound very foreign or like not possible or not, but that's my opinion. So I'm sticking to it. I am right under 40 minutes, and I'm going to see if this might be a sweet spot. But thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you soon. And as always, whoa, got a tickle in my throat. As always, I remain unapologetically yours.